Yo, what's up guys? So we are indeed here showing off a new Banlist ready deck for the heroes, as it's a very popular archetype. A lot of people just simply haven't been playing this deck, but I still think that it is very powerful and it can still be a very good deck. It definitely has a really good turn 1 board. Utilizing, of course, a lot of cards that people are using in the Flame Noble Knight engine over here, but this is not a Flame Noble Knight deck. This is going to be a hero deck, of course, with the new ban list. Unfortunately, Mally didn't go to 3. I was really hoping it would go to 3 because the Nemesis variant is still a deck that I really like, but it's just going to be more consistent to go ahead and utilize some of the Flame Noble cards. But again, it's not a Flame Noble Knight deck over here. But anyways, it's definitely focusing on more of the heroes, which I do like. So we're going to go ahead and see the Liquid Man also get that bonus effect, which is really awesome, being able to get those extra cards, very great. And then on top of that, you have access to the Charles, which goes ahead and lets you see your opponent's entire hand before the duel even starts. So what's really good with this is it's not too much negate heavy. You do get to have the ability to get rid of one out your opponent has, but to follow it up with being able to go ahead and mass change over here, activating the effect of Acid and Acid 0 turn 1, giving you the effect to Raigeki and Feather Duster your opponent basically in one simple turn on their turn 2, which is extra dirty. And then on top of that, this can get its effect again if it happens to survive. So very powerful turn 1 play, as again your Raigeki and Feather Duster on their turn, and you get to see their hand before anything goes off. Anyways, if you guys like heroes, drop a like in this video, because I'm curious to see if there's people that are still interested in heroes, as I really like heroes, but you know, I just haven't seen very many of them. But Yugioh VIP over here, he's built a really cool hero deck, and I like the build. And even though it is heavy on the amount of cards that he's playing over here, the thing is you can cycle through so many cards in this deck, because basically all you need to do is just Soul and go into your combo really fast. But with the other cards in the Flame Noble Knight engine, you're able to go ahead and extend your combos, and then there's like basically a new target instead of going for, of course, Jet Synchron. Plug Spread is an excellent card, and we'll go ahead and see the Cross Sheep over here. So like I mentioned, it isn't like a negate everything deck, which, you know, is kind of a nicer thing, but you can still make enough stuff to where your opponent isn't going to be able to. This guy kind of left a little early, but yeah, the Appaloosa is a fantastic card. If you want to go ahead and negate, you still happen to have like 3, maybe 4 negates with this deck. And then on top of that, remember, you get to see your opponent's hand knocking out 1 card, and then if you can knock out 1 and then negate like 3 or 4 cards, they only have 1 or 2 options, and hopefully your other cards will deal with it. But this one is up against Water over here. I originally wanted to do a upgraded deck profile for this one, but there isn't really too many other builds of heroes that I've even seen people attempt to play. Although I wanted to do the Nemesis Umbrella engine, if you can make use of getting Mally to the graveyard, but that's more like dark oriented. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and see this deck. When it doesn't pop off, what can it actually do? We've got an Impermanence over here. We've got also the unfortunate thing with this deck is sometimes with this deck, if you stop Diva, there is other follow-up plays with, of course, Dragoons giving you these extra searches, but he decides to go ahead and Impermanence right here. It might have been better to go ahead and stop the first initial play, and sometimes, again, with Yu-Gi-Oh, you don't know exactly what your opponent has. And so that's unfortunate, but it happens. And then we're going to go ahead and see the Totally Awesome also come out over here, which is going to add another negation. There isn't too much that this deck can top deck out of. It's definitely a deck where, like, it's turn 1 or nothing. And you can play cards, of course, like Dark Ruler No More, Lightning Storm to kind of deal with these boards, but this deck would definitely have trouble, as I want to show you guys decks losing now versus just the deck winning over and over again and give you guys a deck profile. It does not play very well against Break My Board sort of decks, without, of course, the cards that people would normally play, like Dark Ruler No More or Lightning Storm. But this is another different play over here, which is going to be very spicy as well. This one will be able to negate all effects, as Plasma is indeed a searchable card. You have a lot of options with this deck. It's not very straightforward. It doesn't have like a go-to combo. You can make Appaloosa, you can go for the Acid Absolute Zero combo, which is one of my favorite things to do, because it's just a really cool thing when they go ahead and, like, you know, get rid of a card. You're like, well, I'm getting rid of all your monsters regardless of what happens once Ab Zero goes away. And then on top of that, you can go ahead and get rid of all of their spells and traps as well. I believe it's just face up though, just as a heads up with this effect over here. Yeah, it's Destroy as many spell and traps you control. Oh no, I'm sorry. This one, it spell traps. Oh, and all the monsters lose 300 attack. Never mind. It is Feather Duster. It doesn't have to be face up. It's just they all lose 300 attacks, which doesn't really matter because if you ab zero into it, well, the monsters are going to be dead anyways. But in the off chance that they have some type of immunity, like if they can protect their card, at least they'll lose another 300 attack, which is kind of nice. So in this instance over here, we're seeing the Plasma come out, and that's going to be able to negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent controls. So it's a one-sided skill drain in addition to having, of course, the ab zero, and then in the end phase, we're going to be able to get rid of a card that our opponent has, which is quite nice. We also have Sunrise, which is going to be a card. It normally doesn't get to activate the other effect, but we'll just wait and see what happens with this effect. So it's going to go ahead and pop the gear time. Ancient gears are a little bit more popular. I've seen them time and time again. I don't know if it's a new ban list or just people are interested in playing it, so he's going to go ahead and be like, oh, you want to go ahead and attack? You're going to go ahead. It's when an attack is declared involving another hero monster, we're going to go ahead and just be able to pop something. Usually the Ancient Gears have that effect where like you can't do anything, but when your opponent is entirely skill drained and you have that boost, basically you're getting over everything and there's not too much they can do about it. So this is a really cool build of the deck, and I'll give you guys the deck profile really quick if you guys want to go ahead and copy it. There isn't really too many things that I need to mention with this deck, as again with the new ban list you just have basically Feather Duster. Although, you know, Lightning Storm is just kind of a better card for most decks. There are certain decks that can make better use out of Feather Duster if you happen to need like a card that like lingers on the board. But I'd say Lightning Storm is just better for most scenarios anyways. So we've got one Plasma, one on Neos, 2 copies of Mali, 3 copies of Ferris, 3 copies of Stratos. We got Liquid Soldier, we got Solid Soldier, and then 2 copies of Shadow Mist over here. And there is the option to go for Dark Law. It's just sometimes, depending on, of course, what your opponent reveals, you might want to go ahead and go into Dark Law. There's certain decks that like literally cannot function when this card comes out. I would say, yeah, you can definitely go for it, and there's no explanation needed for Dark Law. It comes out, and if they need the Graveyard, too bad. Then we got 2 copies of Olivier, and then we have 2 copies of Vion. We have 2 copies of Increase. We got 1 copy of Plex Spreader, 2 copies of Renaud. And then we have 3 copies of Fire Flint Lady, 3 copies of E-Call over here. We got Hero Lives, 2 copies of Lightning Storm, 1 Poly, and then Reinforcement of the Army, 1 Miracle, 2 copies of Heritage of the Chalice. We have 2 copies of Dark Ruler, 1 copy of Foolish, 3 copies of Mass Change, 1 copy of DDR, 1 copy of Phoenix Blade, Living Fossil, Durandal. We got Smoke Grenade to, of course, get that awesome little effect. And we got 2 copies of Imperm. We got Dian, Acid, Ab-Zero, Trinity, Sunrise, Dark Law, the Hero Blast, Charles, Marcher, Belusa, and we got Cross Crusader, Isolde, Hauki Fibrex, and 1 copy of Cross Sheep, and 1 Link Cross. Another thing I wanted to mention with this deck is you can play Super Poly in this deck as well, and I really actually like this deck to have it. If you were wondering what cards would you remove for Super Poly, honestly, if you think about what Lightning Storm does in Super Poly, they're both fantastic cards, but at the end of the day, if you just need to break the board, I think Super Poly would be great in this deck as well. Of course, with the new Master Rule also, being able to not require the Link Monster Zone, because in this deck, you definitely want to make Link Cross, Hauki Fibrex, is sold, but you don't need to be locked down to those zones, which is excellent for this deck over here. So yeah, this could be a great little swap in and out if you want to go ahead and also throw in a couple Super Polys, as of course there's a lot of great targets for heroes. You'd obviously throw in like the Esquadidad, the Elemental Hero. I guess I can, since it might have been a while since some of you guys played Heroes, I'll mention the other ones, like since we got Stratos back over here, you can actually run Great Tornado. The other great Super Poly targets, I'm just going to go ahead and put this here, just in case any of you guys want to go ahead, and then there's also Gaia, that's like the other great target. You can also throw in Contrast Hero in the extra deck as well, as you can definitely make this. Indeed, it just requires 2 Mask Hero monsters, which would be Dan over here, and this card, absolutely awesome. It's able to go ahead and have that once per turn during either player's turn, which will give you an extra negate. It's not the most common card to go ahead and throw out turn 1, as it's usually like once, of course, your like Mask Hero dies, then you can go ahead and go for Contrast here with a Miracle Fusion play. But I probably wouldn't recommend playing 2 Miracles, as it's not really going to be a consistent way to get out, you know, I would say to have consistency to actually win is the best way to put it. But anyways, that's it for the deck profile. Yugioh, you made a really cool deck, so shout outs to him, man. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like on it. If you're new here, subscribe and turn that bell so you don't miss out on more new Yu-Gi-Oh! New Banlist decks. And if you guys want to send me other replays of other cool hero variants or just anything related here, I'm still working on getting more. We got frauds, we got ABCs, and we got Adamantipator to cover in the future as well. But thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.